You are now listening to the Purple Fox Podcast.
Update.
What's going on, everybody? This is Kevin C. Eze once again with your Purple Fox Update. And today, this week's update is going to be on Tulsi Gabbard and the Nuance Populi. So the mainstream media is managing to do something that is equal parts impressive and destructive. They've managed to spin a narrative around Tulsi Gabbard, a former congresswoman from Hawaii, claiming that she is now an operative of right-wing politics. A Rolling Stone article by Tim Dickinson entitled "Tulsi Gabbard to Speak at CPAC, Joining Its Great Unwokening" states, quote, Tulsi Gabbard, the former Hawaii congresswoman who sought the 2020 Democratic nomination for president, is completing her metamorphosis from iconoclast progressive to hardcore conservative by appearing as a featured guest at the Trumpy Love-In known as Conservative Political Action Conference. The Rolling Stone article goes on, but since leaving Congress, Gabbard has lurched hard to the right. She's becoming a fixture on Fox News while recently blasting the Biden administration in terms that would make even some Republicans blanch. And then this is a tweet that the article cited that they lumped in together with that quote itself. And this is Tulsi Gabbard's own words on Twitter. So tweet, Biden chose Harris as his VP because of the color of her skin and sex, not qualifications. She's a disaster. Now he promises to choose a Supreme Court nominee on the same criteria. Identity politics is destroying this country. Now, the disconnect with what the media is trying to do here is that the media is making it seem as if any criticism lobbed at the Biden administration automatically falls to the right, which is completely disingenuous. I mean, we saw that recently there was some list that was put out where it was like labeling all of the right-wing propagandists, and like people like Russell Brand were on there. Russell Brand, I saw that guy do a 2-hour stand-up special with Che Guevara as the centerpiece of his set. In no way would that man ever be considered right-wing. We see that with Joe Rogan as well. Joe Rogan, who has sworn to never invite President Trump on there, whereas he has actively voted and invited on Bernie Sanders. So how can you call this man right wing? There's something you're missing. Another article, just to point out further instances of what they're trying to do to Tulsi Gabbard herself. A Civil Beat article by Chad Blair entitled "CPAC Speech Could Lead to Gabbard's Expulsion from Hawaii Democrats" states, quote, Back at home on the same day, however, members of a subcommittee of the Oahu County Committee of the Democratic Party of Hawaii approved a resolution on a 15-2 vote that condemned Gabbard for participating in an event that raised funds that would harm Democrats across the country and make it harder to achieve the goals of the party. The resolution calls for Oahu County Committee to form an ad hoc panel to investigate whether Gabbard, who represented Hawaii's 2nd Congressional District from 2013 to 2021, violated the party's bylaws, constitution, or platform. Hawaii's Democratic Party member Michael Golick Jr. introduced the resolution claiming Gabbard condemning Gabbard, stating, quote, This resolution is solely about her raising money for our opposition, end quote. I doubt it. The party's platform preamble begins, quote, The abiding values of the Democratic Party are liberty, social justice, economic justice, protection of the environment, and compassion and respect for the dignity and worth of the individual. The most ironic word within their very own preamble is the word liberty. They won't even allow one of their own to extend an olive branch to their polarized counterparts, nor do they respect the dignity and worth of her perspective. You're not honoring your own preamble. So why is this media spin of Tulsi Gabbard to the right so outrageous? Well, policy-wise, nothing. I repeat, nothing about Tulsi Gabbard is right-wing. In terms of the economy, Tulsi Gabbard wants to bring back the Glass-Steagall Act that was repealed in 1999. Now, this act prevents a single company from engaging in both retail and investment banking. So she won't be making too many friends on Wall Street. She supports a $15 minimum wage, and she even supports a 12-week family and medical paid leave program. In terms of medical and healthcare policy, I might as well slap Bernie Sanders' views on there because she's basically in lockstep with his policy. In reference to education, she wants free college tuition and a serious fix to the loan program that predatorily lends to incoming students. On the question of immigration and national security, she is all for DACA and a legal path to citizenship, while at the same time supporting comprehensive background checks for guns and an assault weapons ban. And lastly, while she doesn't believe in outright scrapping the Electoral College, she does support comprehensive reform to our electoral system, entertaining ideas like ranked choice voting. Now, what the media has done to Tulsi Gabbard and those like her, who try to spell out the deep levels of nuance in our politics and culture in general, is a huge disservice. I feel like the polarizing media maneuver is exactly what's crippling our sense of unity within this country. It seems to me to be too much to ask for from these propaganda dealing institutions, but if there was anything I wanted, it would be for them to wake up and make the decision to use their influence in a more productive manner. No, the fate of this country is at stake, and we're not too far from falling behind. You see China right on our heels in terms of GDP, even though their stock market has taken a hit because of COVID in recent days, but they're not too far behind. In fact, they're still one of the leading producers of semiconductors. These chips are in almost every piece of electronics we use, from EVs to game consoles. It's like, why are they the only ones producing these things? Sometimes the globalized market isn't as not to use the word trumped up, but it's not as high and mighty as people claim it is. There's serious downside. So what I've come to understand is that the focus of these outlets is on what's profitable, which makes sense. It makes sense to me that these news organizations would prefer to play the partisan gamesmanship and polarizing takes to increase their audience and ratings. But I wonder if they ever stop to think about what the cost of this will be in the long run. Many people like Tulsi Gabbard and Joe Rogan, Crystal Ball, Sagar and Jetty, just to name a few, have come to the conclusion that the answer to this mess we find ourselves in resides within the world of nuance. These champions of what I have come to call the Nuance Populi understand that we survive our current situation by developing the skills to hear all possible sides and dissect an argument or perspective from all possible vantage points. The opportunity here is to realize that we can't just take a position on a certain issue and tune out opposition to that position. In that type of environment, no one learns anything. The clearest example of this dynamic is to take a look at our Congress. Nothing ever gets done because they're too busy trying to one-up each other and best each other for the next election cycle. And that invites plenty of opportunity for constituents to suffer from their lack of inaction, from their lack of action. But the good news is that there is a new wave of alternative media flooding into the cultural ethos. And people are hungry for it. They truly are. I mean, we see the numbers. This new revolution is transforming the Nuance Populi via podcasts like the Breaking Points podcast and The Realignment. Countless Substack journalists and other fresh alternatives with deeper takes than the old guard partisan pundits. We've had enough of cable news propaganda. It's enough. And we want real discussion. We want the kind of discussion that pushes the boundaries of ideologies and dismantles the weaker arguments in real time. We want all perspectives to be heard so that we can become a more educated populace. What we want is nuance. So this is Kevin C. Eze, once again with your Purple Fox update, signing out.